Defund gun control. All right. Tell me about it.
Well, as you know, Second Amendment protects all our individual rights. So, and all gun control is, contradictory to that.
So would you be for any sort of regulations on guns?
No.
In the Constitution, it says there will be a well-regulated militia. Does it bother you that in the Constitution it talks about regulating them?
No. Because actually at the time, regulated mean well-trained.
Okay, and do you think that all Americans that have guns are well-trained?
No.
It's amazing to me how so many people think the word regulated in the Second Amendment meant controlled by the government. But as I've exposed in previous videos, this can't be further from the truth.
Well, it's also the one right that uses the phrase well-regulated.
John believes well-regulated means controlled or supervised by the government. In the late 18th century, when the Second Amendment was written, well-regulated did not mean controlled or supervised by the government. It meant well-functioning. Well-regulated in the 18th century tended to be something like well-organized, well-armed, well-disciplined, says Rovod. It didn't mean regulation in the sense that we use it now, in that it's not about the regulatory state. There's been nuance there. It means the militia was in effective shape to fight. In other words, it didn't mean the state was controlling the militia in a certain way, but rather that the militia was prepared to do its duty.
What's going on, everyone? Sauce King here today, and I want to kind of give my commentary and my reaction to what happened with the Kansas City mass shooter. So as you guys know, I led in with the intro is because, online there's chatters about people pushing gun control again. And I'll give you, I believe, 3 reasons. I think there's more reasons than 3 why gun control doesn't work. But this is just some of my thoughts on one of the reasons why gun control doesn't work. One, as you saw in the beginning, technically there's no grounds to really regulate it by the government, because at the end of the day, the government is founded by the Constitution, and the Constitution gave the government no right to really regulate gun control. That's one. 2, gun control doesn't work because essentially if someone has a gun, right? Let's say theoretically we did a gun ban. How you know what happened? Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. It'll create a new incentive for a black market, right? For instance, this is all historically evidence, right? This is historical evidence on my part. If you go back in history, American history, Americans, we did a full-on alcohol ban. If you look up your history, it's called the Prohibition. And that gave the mafia a lot of power because they were smuggling what? Wine, alcohol into these countries in New York. And it allowed these criminal syndicates to gain so much power. Now, my warning here is if you do the same thing to guns, we'll essentially create another prohibition, a gun prohibition. And they'll allow criminals, because then criminals will always find a way to get their guns. Either they smuggle it through the open border that Democrats don't want to close, right? Or they just don't register their guns. There's going to be people who are going to go around and break the law, because at the end of the day, the law doesn't prevent anything from happening. All it does is create an incentive structure to nudge you in a certain direction. Hey, don't do that or you'll be punished. But to be punished, you have to have the ability to enforce it. This is the argument that a lot of people who are pro-gun, like I am, that why gun control doesn't work. Because the only way you can stop a gun is with equal or opposite force. That's it. That's the only way you're stopping a gun. So if you're telling all of society, and then the third reason why gun control is a bad idea is that it creates targets. For instance, public school areas are typically gun-free zones. So who if you look at the rates of school shooters, mass shooters, where do they like to do their mass shooting at? Areas where guns are not allowed. Because why? Because they automatically perceive, hey, I have an advantage. No one else in this crowd will have a gun unless they're breaking the law as well. So essentially, it's always a gun that was going to stop another gun. You can see it with the malls, right? That's where a lot of mass shootings happen. Grocery stores, schools, as I just mentioned before. These become targets for people with bad intentions. This is why these mass shooters like to target schools. Right? But, I digress. That was a little rant on my part. But gun control don't work. When I'll get more into it at the end of this, towards the end of this video. Watch. Heroes tackle suspected shooter at Kansas City Chiefs parade. Multiple people were shot and at least one were killed when a gunfire erupted at a parade celebrating the Kansas Chiefs Super Bowl win this week. Police said that the shooting occurred west of Union Station towards the end of where the parade ended, according to local media. Videos from the incident show bystanders tackling one of the men who was allegedly involved in the shooting and pinned him down until law enforcement was able to place him in handcuffs. And I'm gonna show the video because this is what I talk about. Heroism. You gotta, we gotta start embracing more personal responsibility. I may not have been, I can't control what happens to me, but I can control how I respond. And I love the way that these people chose to respond. Let's take a little quick look. And then she moved the gun. That you saw the gun on the far right. So these people think, oh, gun control will solve our problems. No, it won't. Photos from the incident show that at least 4 men were placed in handcuffs by law enforcement. Notice how they didn't mention the race, right? It's not black supremacy that these people are out here. Oh, they're trying to shoot up a bunch of white people in the crowd. Look at these black supremacists. No, but that had been the opposite. And this is the problem that a lot of people have with mainstream media, that they're only there to push a narrative. And the minute something doesn't push their narrative, they don't want to cover it. This is how I say journalists lie by omission. They omit things. They don't call it equally. They want to hyper focus on things that pushes their worldview, and they don't want to they want to minimize stories that goes against their worldview. And here's a stat I'm going to show you right here. Most mass shootings are done by, black people, black criminals. Sorry, I want to generalize black people, black criminals. Black criminals are the biggest perpetrator of mass shootings because what's considered mass shootings? If you fire at more than 3 people, so that means drive-by shootings. If you grew up in the hood like I did, yup. It's usually someone with my skin color that's doing it. But does the mainstream media put that out up there? No, they don't, because it's common. Like I said before, the media only want to cover things that are rarely happen, so they can make it a bigger story and be like, see, it is a problem. Controlling perception, controlling reality, and this is the problem that a lot of people, I believe, is the problem with mainstream media. They want to control perception. Kansas City Police Officer Chief Stacey Graves said that 10 to 15 people were injured during the shooting and that none of the victims were believed to be children. Sorry. I'm angry at what happened today, she said, that people who come to the celebration should expect a safe environment. But because of bad actors, this tragedy occurs even in the presence of uniformed law enforcement. And one reason also I think that mass shooting has become more rampant, it seems like, is the fact that these people get a lot of attention for it. You know, we live in a social media age. They know, even if the media doesn't cover their names, they'll get a lot of attention for it. But also it's due to, I'm gonna blame multiculturalism. We don't have a shared culture. Because if you look at societies, in my view, that have a shared culture, they have less crime rates. Because imagine if you went out and go shoot, and you can do a mass shooting, and you see people who look like you, share your values, share your language, share your perspective, share your worldview, would you shoot at them? No, you won't. But in this culture we live in today, that's multiculturalism, is more prone to happen here because of that. Because we have so much different cultures in there, and there's no unifying tier that unites all of us together. And this is why I'm saying we should push for more of a national vision, a national unity. We're one nation under God. Like we really we have to live by that culture again. If not, this will keep happening. Because I believe mass shooter is a symptom. The mass shooters are a symptom of the problem that our culture is deteriorating. There's a lack of unity in our culture. We don't see each other as brethren in the same nation. We see each other as fractions fighting over a piece of land. So let's see how the left covered the shooting. At least 8 children among 22 were hit by gunfire at the end of the Chiefs Super Bowl parade. 1 person killed, right? 8 children were among the 28 that got hit by gunfire. Police chief said that there were 3 people who were detained. 3 people were detained as part of their investigation. She says that she heard that the fans were being involved, tackled the suspect, but couldn't immediately confirm that. She says she's angry at what happened. We already know what happened, but the concern I have is that this is what I'm talking about by racism, right? The liberal press, the racist press, right? Because let's look at racism at its definition. You're treating someone differently because of the color of their skin. You have a prejudice. In my view, you also have a preference for someone based on their race. That's racist. That's a racist to me. So if liberal media, if it was a white shooter, they'll put their face out there, their identity out there, their skin color out there, whatever. They'll put a lot more identifying factors or identifying features out in the front press for everyone to see White supremacy is a problem in our country. That's racism. That's like me saying, see, look at all the crime that's being done by another black person. Black supremacy. People call that racist. It's like, yo, you're generalizing a whole group of people. You want us to be scared of black people? Well, ain't the mainstream media trying to put a narrative that we all should be scared of lonely white people? When if I just showed you most mass shootings are done by black people, I can show it again. Now, maybe I have outdated data. If you have the updated data, please let me know in the comment section. But based on these findings, I'm like, okay, so why is the knowledge system, why is our perception so concerned about this stuff? And I honestly believe it's mental health. I honestly believe it's a cultural problem. There's a lack of unity. People don't feel any respect for each other. And I grew up in the black community where another black man cherishes your life less than a pair of shoes. There's stories out there, black men killing each other over a pair of shoes. That's how much of a lack of respect that black men and people in the black community have for their lives. But then they want to be the same people pushing Black Lives Matter. When within their own group and within their own communities, when another black man kills another black man, no one gives a damn. They're like, oh, just another day on the streets. And this is what I'm talking about. It's a lack of culture. It's a lack of values. And I'm honestly tired of it. If we all saw each other, like imagine this, if we all saw each other as Americans, as one nation under God, if we truly believed that, we wouldn't do, like, it'll be, I want to say mass shooting wouldn't stop happening, but it won't be happening at the rate that it's happening now. It seemed like every other month, anything a mass crowd of people go, mass shooters go, it's my opportunity. But naive people think gun control is going to work. Clay Travis was arguing with someone online, and I found this back and forth interesting, and seeing how some of the emotionalism that these people try to use to try to blackmail you into or gaslight you into coming to their side. So this person, we're gonna start with Rich Ezen. I hope I said your name right. 9 children who went to the parade to celebrate their Super Bowl team. 9 children now being treated for gunshot wounds. When are we going to collectively realize that that there's a gun problem in our country and do something sensible to our kids? It's not a gun problem. It's a people problem. And in the end of the day, if a person doesn't see you as their people, they're more inclined to harm you than someone they see as their people, right? So if you spreading this message that there's a difference between African Americans, white Americans, Asian Americans, then you have a culture problem. You have a unity problem, right? This is the problem I have with Democrats. They always want to treat symptoms instead of treating the core issues that drive the symptoms, because they know it's harder to address the core issues than treating a bandage on a wound. Oh, no, just put a bandage on it. Clay Travis responds, "What's your suggestion, Rich? Do away with the Second Amendment? Honest question. Dozens of laws were violated by the shooters. I suggest putting violent criminals behind bars and keeping them there. I wager a lot of money that the shooter in Kansas had a long rap sheet." And you know, Clay Travis loves to bet, right? Voters are soft on crime politicians. Votes on soft on crime politicians. Sorry, guys. I'm still waking up. Why did crime go up? Supports illegal immigration. Where are all these people coming from? Advocates for DEI. Why is everyone becoming more racist? Moves to a new area with the same mindset. How did those issues follow me here? I don't feel safe in our own neighborhood. You literally voted for this, right? This is the reality. Because if you do gun control, look, this is one of my biggest talking points. If you do gun control, crime will go up. Death will go up. Because there's no consequence. Because any day criminals, people, the mind of a person that will break the law, they only fear consequences. They fear that they don't fear the consequences of going to jail because of the action. They perceive that, hey, stealing is worth possibility of this happening. Now, if there's another consequence, hey, if I rob the wrong person and I get shot, that's the even bigger consequences that they may consider. Because most people, they like their life. And that's why the guns are called the great equalizers. Women can defend themselves against no matter who the gender, no matter who the race. A woman can defend herself if she has a weapon. And these leftists, these naive leftists, these goodwill leftists, because road to hell is paved with good intentions, they come out and say, oh, no, we should just ban the guns, aka ban the means for women to defend themselves. I mean, I know I'm gonna go kind of dark here, but I believe cases of rape will go up if you take away guns. So would you allow women to get raped? Like I could play the emotional blackmail game too. And this is the problem we have in our politics. It's more about pushing my way than pushing a more probable solution. And gun control is not a probable solution. All you have to do is look at the UK. Look at how they have a higher crime rate, I believe, than the US. Why? Because there's no guns. They stab you to do that. Now the UK government is contemplating, hey, we should ban knives. It's not a gun problem. It's a people problem. At least with the guns, you give everyone equal footing to defend themselves. This is the babying that governments like to do. We're adults. Oh, you're a consenting adult. You can choose your gender, but you can't trust adults to manage their guns. There's more guns than people in the United States of America. And only a small percentage of people misuse these guns for nefarious and evil means. Yet you want to punish the entire community for the actions of a few. That's like me punishing all black people for the crimes of the few. Because black criminals are a minority in the black community. Black criminals do not represent the black community. But like, imagine me punishing all of the black community for what these criminals do. Everyone will see that's asinine. But when it comes to for gun owners, nah, it's permissible. Emotional argument. What specific? Okay, this is Robert RG3, Robert Griffin III. Mass shootings are not a political issue. Men, women, and children dying are not a political issue. Thoughts and prayers are not enough. America is a great country. But put the politics aside, work together and pass laws to ensure that we're no longer known as the land of mass shootings. First, Robert Griffin III. We have about 300 million people. Compared to all the other countries, we're the most multi-ethnic of those countries, right? Because Finland has low crime rates. And guess how much Finland is? Finland is 93% one race. Japan has one of the lowest crime rates than the US. Guess what? It's ethnically one race, like 95% ethnically one race. So you see the pattern here, Robert Griffin III? Your diversity is the reason why these problems are happening. Because there's more friction. And if there's more friction, there's more what? Conflict. Okay. There's a lack of respect. There's a lack of humanization, especially with the race hustling the NFL and these black players are doing. Talking about, oh, we hate white people. Okay, white people own most of the guns. So if white people really hated you, they can do mass shootings to you guys too. And it become a race riot, a race war. Like, it's the fact that we spread such division in our culture is the reason why these problems are happening. We don't have any unity. We don't see each other. We don't even humanize each other anymore. We have this us versus them mentality in our country. When we literally one country. We're one country. We're one nation. Yet because of our politics, we divide each other. Because of our skin color, we divide each other. Because of our sexuality, we divide each other. We don't respect the boundaries of the other. Hey, I don't want to teach this stuff to my kids. Why? Do you hate gay people? No, I don't want to pervert my kids with this stuff. Even if it was straight people porn, I don't want them to be exposed to this. No, you make it an issue and then you become divisive about it. Multiculturalism doesn't work. So gun control won't work either. What specific gun law would you suggest that needs to be passed that don't presently criminalizes mass shootings? And that would stop mass shootings from happening going forward. My suggestion is put violent criminals behind bars and keep them there. Do you have any better suggestions? Because at the end of the day, laws are a means of reaction. They're not a good means of prevention. A good means of prevention is, hey, in this neighborhood, everyone is armed. That's a better check. A bully only bullies people who are weaker than them. So if you go in the perspective of a criminal, I'm only going to rob people that I feel that I'll be safe. I can safely rob. But if I know most people in America are armed with guns, then I can't feel safe robbing another person. Boom, there goes your prevention. And I believe gun education is much better than gun control. But that's just my thoughts. Let me hear yours in the comment section below. I really be interested to hear some of your guys' commentaries on this topic. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.